Hi there, welcome back to On the Flip Side. My name is Adam Shawwalker, and today we're going to be going over this new album from Full of Hell called Garden of Burning Apparitions. The first track on this record is called Guided Blight, which in proper grindcore fashion beats you senseless immediately. I love how brutal the vocal work is on this track, and you can really tell that it's like some really throat-shredding stuff. Like, the viciousness of this track is really something else. The chaotic approach they take on the instrumental side of things is entirely overwhelming and errs on the side of power violence. Really excellent start for this album. Next up is Asphyxiant Blessing. This song is just slightly slower than the first track, blending some sludge metal riffs into this grind fest. This song has a really cool little solo interlude that reminds me a lot of like the solos from like a Yob track or like a lot of other sludge tracks, except just speed up the tempo like a lot. It's really cool to see that influence and that crossover at play genre-wise. The whole track is fairly blistering and violent, and it goes by very quickly. The third track is Murmuring Foul Spring. This song leans again into that sludge metal influence and also reaches a bit into noise for its intro, but the brutality kicks off soon after the noise is introduced. This song absolutely crushes. I mean, the level of assault that they're going for here is just astronomical. I love the over-the-top change-ups, I love the hair-raising aggression, and I love the quickness of everything. Sort of how like things seem to move slower in a fight, these songs seem to want to shock you into submission, so you have to kind of confront them instead of just casually listening. It's pretty cool. Up next is one of the longer tracks on the album, Derelict Satellite. This one definitely reaches into the realm of noise and can almost be considered a parallel to like a Merzbow track. I think it's pretty funny that they went with this song, you know, as one of the longest songs on the album, because you would have to be a fan of both harsh noise and grindcore to really fully appreciate this cut. I think the song is pretty damn good. The next track is Burning Apparition, which launches right back into some proper death grind. The main riff on this track is intensely catchy while also being incredibly grimy. I feel like the entire song can be described as an audio mugging. Really, most of their tracks just kind of reach this high level of aggression that hits all of this, the fight or flight responses just in like the right way. It's just kind of like a next level of intense brutality. Up next is Eroding Shell. This one reaches deeper down the cavernous vocal delivery and hits with a brutality that Fluids would be jealous of. The riffs here are unstoppable and bellow out under the vocals. Another excellent track. The next song is All Bells Ringing. This one has some really neat dissonant chord work that's pretty cool. Some of it kind of makes me think that like this is what Thal would sound like if you mixed it with some death grind. Also, the noise work at the end of this track is super ominous and kicks ass. I love what they did with this song. Up next is Urchin Thrones. The sound of this one seems to hit an almost black metal delivery for the intro, which is pretty cool when you combine that with the grind stylings of this album. Really, everything that you get here is so multifaceted and has had every approach calculated so that the final product is just the most vile audio substance possible. It's distilled brutality at its finest. The next song is Industrial Messiah Complex. Brutal death metal riffs kick off this song and relentlessly deliver crushing blows of sound. There are some really cool vocal effects on this track that remind me a lot of like the vocal work on some of the Plasma records, with these highly distorted vocal tracks that sound like they're being kind of sang or maybe screamed through a bucket of water. Really outstanding work again. Next is Reeking Tunnels. The pace of this song is a lot slower than the rest of the album, with what I'd say is the closest to a standard death metal sound on this entire record. The main riff sways really nicely, the vocals are excellent, and the various other segments of this track flow really nicely. I love the addition of this track to help pace the record. It's still incredibly heavy, but it helps kind of make the whole experience a little bit more palatable. Next track is Non-Atomism. This one hits that harsh noise wall again with a brutal wall of sound that is just fantastic. It's kind of like if you were to take a drum solo and stack it, on itself 20 times in like Pro Tools or something and just crank up the gain and distortion on everything. The way they blend noise tracks into this album is just really fantastic. The final track is Celestial Hierarch. This one is the longest song on the album, sitting at 3.5 minutes. Not exactly an epic, but for this album it may as well be ages. This song takes every element that this album has touched on and kind of lets everything have its moment in the sun here. The traces of noise, of death grind, jazz grind, sludge, black metal, trance, all of that kind of rears its head on this song for this cornucopia of all that is fast, hard, and heavy. So over this densely packed 21 minutes, we get some of the best grind that I've heard in quite a while. Full of Hell is one of these bands that I really shouldn't be sleeping on, but it always kind of feels like I am. I'll listen to a record and think that it was pretty damn good, but I hardly end up revisiting these albums for whatever reason. Now, doing these reviews and being a little bit more mindful during my listening, I'm thinking I really should keep this stuff in my regular rotation, as it is some of the best modern extreme metal out there at the moment. Garden of Burning Apparitions gets a solid 8. Thank you all so much again for watching. I appreciate all of you very much. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking liking and subscribing, checking out my Instagram and my Reverb store. Links to those are in the description. And finally, let me know what you thought of the album in the comments below. Again, thank you all so much, and we'll see you on the flip side.